Hello everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about the astrology and the energy for the second half of September. You will find the first half of September linked in the description box below, so please go back and take a listen to that if you have not already done so. If you are new here, welcome, and as always, for my existing subscribers, welcome back. Let's get right into the second half of September because the energy really intensifies here. We have quite a few shifts taking place in this second half of September, but the most significant and the focus of this reading is the new moon that we have taking place on the 21st of September. This one isn't just any new moon, it is a partial solar eclipse at the 29th degree of Virgo. You may recall that we had a new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo back at the end of August 23rd to be exact. I'll also link that reading in the description box below as it's all part of a larger story and it all does connect. Anytime we see two new moons in the same sign, it signals something significant. It signals something karmic, something fated. And this one, it's all about closure and new beginnings. At the anaretic degree, the 29th degree, we're closing something out. Attached to the South Node, we are releasing. This is a point of destiny, a moment where Spirit says to us, if you don't release what no longer serves, I will step in and move it for you. This is fate. This is destiny. It's about clearing away the excess so that you can step into greater order, alignment, and flow. We are also moving into a key seasonal shift. The sun enters Libra and we experience the equinox, the autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere and the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. This is the balance point of the year. Equal day, equal night. The equinox always reminds us to recalibrate, to check in with self, to check in on what's been growing, and to tend to our gardens, both literal and symbolic. The themes for this second half of September are cleansing, recalibrating, and letting go. Where do you need to release? Where do you need to shed? This eclipse energy, along with the equinox, will pierce through illusions and strip away what is false. It may not always feel comfortable, but it's absolutely necessary for your growth and your path forward. As we move through this time, remember, what ends now creates space what is truly meant for you. Clearing is sacred. It makes room for destiny. Most important, stay grounded, tend to what's right in front of you, and trust the process. The second half of September is about surrender, trust, and stepping into alignment with your soul's truth. Spirit is guiding the way. Spirit is leading the way. Your only job is to release and to allow. Let's dive into the reading, but real quick before we do, I want to let you know that I have only one spot remaining in my foundational astrology course. It is a 12-week course, and we start Monday the 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This is one of my most popular courses because it's not just about memorizing the signs and the planets. It's about learning how to actually work with your chart, and then in turn with other charts. Imagine knowing the best time to make a big career move, seeing the cycles that can shape your relationships, and especially, understanding how to navigate the challenges that keep repeating in your life. That, amongst many other things, is what this course is designed to give you. So, if you're ready to use astrology as a tool to become your own guide, almost like your own psychic, then this is the time to claim that last seat. Email me ASAP at info@lisasalvatore.com and I will send you all of the information and you can decide if it's right for you and sign up as well. Without further ado, let's dive into the second half of September and the solar eclipse energies. Before we get to the solar eclipse, let's just quickly do a recap. On September the 18th, Mercury, the planet of communication, information, the media, messaging, messages, our own thinking, our own thought processes. Mercury enters the sign of Libra and will remain in Libra until October 6th. Mercury in Libra is concerned with themes of communication and respect. Mercury in Libra shifts the collective communicative tone to one geared more towards diplomacy and balance, recalibration, value systems, trying to understand other viewpoints. At least that's the goal. It doesn't mean that that's always going to be the way that it is, but it's going to be about balancing the scales, setting the record straight, recalibrating our head and our hearts. This is both collectively, of course, and personally. The following day, on September 19th, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and pleasure and money, more importantly, our value systems, justice. Venus is the planet that rules Libra. So this is pulling even more focus onto the diplomacy, our values, justice being served. Venus will move into Virgo, and Venus will remain in Virgo until October 13th. Venus struggles a little bit in the sign of Virgo. Venus can definitely become much more critical, much more discerning, which can be very positive, but it can also disconnect us a little bit from what's right in front of us. So as we enter this corner, we can be more compelled to follow the head versus the heart. Now, that's not always a bad thing because emotions are running high right now. There's a very strong repetitive message to be your own guru, to go inward, to be very discerning, to get the facts and to really sit with them and to take away the emotion and be objective when you're trying to make decisions. The fact that we're in eclipse season is also going to be very enlightening, as it will show us, it will pierce through any illusions. And like it or not, it will guide the new way forward. It can set steps in a new course of action for us in one or more areas of our lives, and of course, collectively. We are going to likely be getting a lot of world messages coming in at this time, having to do with the financial systems, especially in the United States, but also in the UK. The whole second half of September, this is very enhanced. This is very increased. September 21st, we get to the solar eclipse, the partial solar eclipse, new moon at the 29th degree of Virgo. It's 29 degrees and 5 minutes to be exact. The thing about eclipses is that this is not a one and done energy. And I also want to stress that it's never going to be the same for everyone. It's never going to be as intense for some as it is for others. Every eclipse, every full moon, every new moon is going to land differently for you. If you're tracking your personal astrology, you probably understand that. If you're not tracking your personal astrology, you should be, because it's a very helpful tool to guide and to help you to navigate your journey with much more awareness and trust in the way things are shaping out for you. It helps you to understand what you can control, what you have more control over, I should say, and that which you have to just surrender to, or what would be in your best interest to surrender to. You can always download your birth chart for free right on my website. All of the links are in the description box. I also have some free tutorials there to help to teach you, to help to show you how to do this, how to decipher, how to decode energies in your birth chart. You will want to locate 29 degrees of Virgo in your chart to see where this eclipse will fall for you. The thing with this eclipse, it's at the final degree of Virgo, what we call the anaretic degree, the critical degree. And if you recall, we had that new moon at 0 degrees of Virgo back on August 23rd, which is the very beginning. Now, that new moon was not an eclipse, but it served as one since it was right at the precipice, right at that beginning of eclipse season. It was an opening. It was a gateway into where, what, and how in our own lives do we need to make changes that support our system, mind, body, spirit. So at the very least, reflect back to the middle of August and how things have panned out for you since then, any and all changes that might have occurred, no matter how minor. And as we're in this eclipse zone, also note that any changes that are occurring, even small, you may not recognize them until a year from now. Perhaps that's when you recognize that you met somebody that became extremely significant in your life down the road, but you don't know that now. That's why it's always really important to track the energies for yourself. Real quick, before we get to the chart, astronomically speaking, a solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and the earth. As it does this, it either partially or totally obscures the image of the sun from our view here on Earth. This is a partial solar eclipse. So that's where we see looks like a bite is taken out of the sun. Here in the US, we will not be able to see this eclipse. This particular eclipse path is visible from parts of the Southern Hemisphere, including New Zealand, Antarctica, and the South Pacific. But regardless of where you are, you can always watch live streams and coverage from astronomy websites such as space.com, and you can view the eclipse online. This eclipse ends the second eclipse season of 2025. The first eclipse of this season was just back on September 7th when we had our total lunar eclipse in Pisces, the opposite sign of Virgo. That lunar eclipse on September 7th and this solar eclipse on September 21st will close out this eclipse cycle for 2025. However, let's extend this back to August 23rd when we had the first new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees. What has occurred, shown up in your reality, departed your reality? Where have you had releases and reveals and recognition? Where have you recognized that you need to cleanse something or someone out of your life? Where do you need to cleanse mind, body, spirit? Where do you need to purify? Virgo and Pisces, this is the sign, this is the axis of purification. It's our physical health, our spiritual health, our mental health, our health on all levels. The first eclipse season was back in March. We had a total lunar eclipse on the 13th, 14th of March. And 2 weeks later, this lunar eclipse was followed by a partial solar eclipse. That one took place on March 29th of 2025. So if you can, go back even further and think about what was going on in your reality around that time. The thing about eclipses is that these are always times, these are gateways of endings and beginnings, these are turnover points. And this specific solar eclipse is at the 29th degree, the final degree of Virgo, which is a turning point, a crisis point. Doesn't necessarily mean bad, it just means that it's critical. Something is ending. But what makes this really interesting is that it is a new moon and it is attached to the south node, which is how we have an eclipse. The lunation has to be near the nodes of the moon within a few degrees of the north node and or the south node. They are a package deal. Can't have one without the other. And the nodes are not planets. They're not visible. They are invisible. They are actually points in space. They are calculations. And they move retrograde naturally. They move backwards naturally. And that very nature symbolically explains, spiritually puts emphasis on how eclipses are wild. They have their own timetable. They have their own trajectory. Spirit is in charge, and spirit has no timetable. Eclipses are always a stronger reminder of that for us. Where we are not on track or where we are not fulfilling our soul contract, aka our natal chart, our birth chart, where we are totally off track, the universe can step in by events, situations, beginnings, endings, slamming a door, opening a door, arrivals and departures that get us onto the destined track. We may not see that at the time. That's why it's important to track the energies. They play out. Eclipse energy reverberates. Think it's about 1 month prior to the start of the eclipses and then about up to 6 months after. These reverberations, these ripples of the eclipse energies will and can be felt. Again, I want to stress, because I see this comment a lot, it's not the same for everyone. It's going to make more sense. It will feel more pronounced. It will be more pronounced if it's hitting the angles of your birth chart, if it's angular or the angular houses, 1, 4, 7, 10. Or if it's very close to anything personal, any of your personal planets like your sun, your moon, your ascendant, your Mars, your Venus. If that goes over your head, but you really do want to learn that, please check out the tutorials on how to track these energies. It will really help you. I break it down in a very digestible manner. Partial solar eclipse, Virgo new moon at 29 degrees. New beginnings, because new moons are all about new beginnings. 29th degree, an ending, a turning point. And then this eclipse is attached to the south node being indicative of release. This is where we've grown to be too comfortable or too complacent. We could even be uncomfortably comfortable here. But there's a reminder of what needs to be moved, what needs to be released, what needs to be done away with for our soul's growth, for our soul's journey. The 29th degree of Virgo falls in the third decan, the final third of the degrees of Virgo, which gives it more of a Taurus flair, more of a Taurus flavor. Of all the earth signs, Taurus is the sign that is the earth sign that is the most resistant to change, especially when comfortable. Going on the themes of the eclipse, change is imminent. This is a reminder that sometimes we need to become ungrounded to become grounded. We need to unstick so that we can then stick where we're meant to be. Archetypal Virgo energy is the devoted servant, the nurse, the helper, the healer. Virgo energy is devoted, it's diligent, it's attached to the details, and often self-sacrificial and self-critical, which can then bleed out onto how we behave with others. We have to watch the potential to be overly critical and overly sacrificial. We are all more prone to exhaustion at this time, so please take very good care of the physical body. Tend to the inner world just as much, if not more, than you're tending to your outer world. The moon here, this new moon, this dark moon, this solar eclipse, it is kind of fragile. It tends to be more fragile, more precarious in this position. We can become easily overburdened, and even more so if you have high mutable energy, strong mutable energy, which is Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sagittarius. We must pay attention to our own boundaries, our personal boundaries, because we can be very prone to exhaustion at this point, particularly when boundaries are ignored. The opposite sign of Virgo is Pisces. Virgo and Pisces stresses the health and the body, physical body and the spiritual body, our habits, our patterns, our nutrition, our health, all of it. We have to be more conscious of illness and receptivity, especially of the respiratory system, the digestive system, our lymphatic system, our nervous system. These are all heightened and sensitive at this time. A big lesson with this eclipse cycle, I should say, is that when we give too much care and or too much service without the balance, the body and the spirit will protest. This eclipse reminds us that healing comes from within, and then we can heal without. We must self-nourish so that our foundation is not at risk of collapsing. Mind, body, spirit, we must try and center, we must recalibrate, and we must realign. We are also at the equinox point here as the sun is about to enter Libra on the 22nd, the day after this eclipse. This also pulls a lot of focus onto letting go, onto shedding that which is not working, that which is not right for us, that which keeps us out of balance. You may not feel very well at this time. You might be more tired. Honor that and protect yourself. Protect your body, protect your peace, self-nourish. This could be as simple for you as just tweaking your diet a little bit, tweaking your routines. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chart. Here's the chart for the solar eclipse, the partial solar eclipse, new moon in Virgo, September 21st, 3:54 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be 12:54 p.m. Pacific Time, 8:54 p.m. UK time. Please set this for your time zone. Here's the new moon, 29 degrees and 5 minutes of Virgo. We see the south node here at 18 degrees of Virgo, directly opposite the north node in Pisces here. Saturn here, retrograde at 28 degrees of Pisces, is in an almost exact opposition to this new moon. This absolutely increases that feeling and these energies of something feeling quite crucial, like it could be very repetitive. There's a turning point. We're recognizing there's a lot of pattern recognition going on right now, especially in relationships, and especially as these relationships don't serve our higher self, our higher timeline, where we feel misaligned from others in our lives, whether that's a job, a relationship, family members. There's a lot of karmic gunk that we're sifting and sorting through. A lot is coming around full circle, to be cleansed, to be cleared, to be healed, to recalibrate. We're also reminded of all of the hard work that we have put in, or where we've put that hard work in. I'm also going to stress taking really good care of our health on all levels, as this is a Mercury-ruled eclipse because Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury also rules our nervous system, Mercury rules our skin and our respiratory functions. And there's always potential for health issues linked to the areas that are very strong around certain lunations, especially in eclipse. New moon opposite Saturn here, Saturn in Pisces. Pisces ruled by both Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune governs over liquids, including water, including alcohol, beverages in general. Also Pisces, Neptune, this rules over our lymphatic system, all spiritual matters, dreams, and intoxication of all forms. Spiritual bypassing can also be intoxication, remember that. So it's systems of all kinds when it comes to our health. Pisces also rules over our feet. But most significantly is the lymphatic system, because we know the lymphatic system is responsible for filtering out toxins, and toxins are also under the domain of Neptune. So if you do have any swelling that occurs around this time, especially in the feet or in the ankles, there is a vulnerability in general around this eclipse cycle, I should say, to little minor illnesses and nuances, allergies, and substance sensitivity. You may find that you can no longer drink wine, for example, or certain foods are no longer agreeing with you. Virgo also rules over our digestion, our digestive tract, our small intestines. So what we are feeding ourselves, mind, body, and spirit, where it might not be working for us, is going to become much more loud. And if you tune in, you'll likely find that it's already been speaking through you and to you for the last couple of months, but it might just get louder around this time. Just note that that is what really needs to be released. Mars, the fighter, our fighter spirit, our ability to step forward and to take action. Mars is also at the 29th degree of Libra. So Mars is at the anaretic degree as well, getting ready to turn, getting ready to move into Scorpio, the sign of his power, the height of his power. So change is a-coming. Mercury, the ruler of the eclipse, is at 5 degrees of Libra. Venus at 2 degrees of Virgo is in opposition to Saturn, highlighting the importance of our relationships and the way that we feel in our relationships, where the balance and the power dynamics might be out of whack, where we need to recalibrate, or where it will be recalibrated for us. There's a lot of positivity that could be under the surface here with this eclipse. In some cases, it can be right there on the surface, where in other cases, it can be under the surface. Anxiety will be heightened around this time, so we may not necessarily recognize the goodness right away. It may take a moment for the fog to clear, for the metaphorical fog to clear. But we have this divine, spiritual, beautiful configuration, and it's been in effect for a bit here. This new moon is in a trine to Pluto over here at 1 degree of Aquarius. The new moon is also in a trine to Uranus here at 1 degree of Gemini. Uranus is in a trine to Pluto, 1 degree of Aquarius. The new moon's in opposition to Saturn and Neptune. Oh, and Neptune, I need to bring it back to Neptune aligned with Saturn, and Neptune being the ruler of Pisces, the toxins, the medicines. We will likely be really hearing a lot surrounding the future of the medical of our country, of our nation, Medicare here in the States. But all over, all across the world, there's going to be a strong emphasis on the medical, on medicine, on illness, nasty bugs and illnesses. So just take extra care. Do what you can to support your immunity, up your supplements, stay on top of your health. This is not the time to be lackadaisical. It really never is, but more so around now because it's much more sensitive. But the future of medicine, there's going to be a lot of news coming out. Pay attention because it may seem very small at this point, but your intuition, your discernment, another key theme with Pisces and Virgo, will feel very fine-tuned right now. You'll be deciphering the messages within the messages, if that makes sense, especially when it comes to the world stage. This actually forms a grand kite pattern. This is positive for our personal growth. And when we're doing the work, when we're doing our shadow work, our soul work, which means that we're inviting what wants to come forth into our conscious awareness to come forth without shunning it. We're looking at it, we're acknowledging it. That's how we do shadow work. That's how we do soul work. When we're willing to do that, this can be very positive. This eclipse is exactly aligned with fixed star Markeb. I talked about this fixed star in my weekly podcast for this week of the solar eclipse. This fixed star carries the vibration of both Mars and Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse, and Mars is at the 29th degree of Libra, getting ready to turn, to change. Eclipses are gateways where they bring forth people and information into our lives, or they can be taken out. Lots of departures can also occur around eclipses. Do not be surprised if someone or something returns from afar in your reality. Now, is that supportive or not? I don't know. That's going to land differently for everybody. Regardless, though, it brings in justice, it brings in order, and it brings in balance. We are still dealing with an opposition to Neptune, though. And so where things have not been clear, the illusions are being pierced. You're recognizing that not all might be as it has seemed to be, but you're getting the clarity. Information is incoming. With eclipses, it's always important to be in the space of surrender and flow. Allow the energy to come in, allow things to settle. And another fixed star that's aligned exactly with this new moon eclipse is fixed star Terpsichore. Terpsichore is one of my favorite fixed stars. In Greek mythology, she is one of the 9 muses. She's one of the goddesses of dance, of music. Her name actually translates to delight in dancing. Terpsichore means delight in dancing. As we're dealing with strong Pisces energy, Pisces is very creative, Pisces is very artistic, as is fixed star Terpsichore. Tap into music, tap into rhythm, tap into your sacral chakra, your sacral energy. Move your body, dance. Dancing moves energy. Energy needs to move. Our energy needs to move, and dancing moves energy. Don't forget to move your body around this eclipse. Move your energy. Let's quickly go over where this eclipse will fall for you by your rising sign. Remember that you want to specifically look at where 29 degrees of Virgo falls in your birth chart. I'm not going to get into too much detail with where this will fall because I've already gone ahead and done a full reading conversation with another astrologer, Eric Taylor. I'll link that in the description box below about the eclipse season. So you're going to want to take a listen to that to get more insights into this. If you want to set an intention around this eclipse, I would do so, but with the caveat of have the intention be around what you would like to lovingly is very important to say, what you would like to lovingly release that is not serving you. What habit, what behavior. But be very conscious, be very careful, because it is wild energy right now. With eclipse season, I like to just be. I like to lay low. I like to be an observer. I like to reflect. And that's about it. But you do you, as I always say. Follow your intuition. Follow your own inner compass. Follow your own guidance. If you're Aries rising, this eclipse will fall in your 6th house. If you're Taurus rising, it will be your 5th. Gemini, your 4th. Cancer, your 3rd. Leo, your 2nd. Virgo, your 1st. Libra, your 12th. Scorpio, your 11th. Sagittarius, your 10th. Capricorn, your 9th. Aquarius, your 8th. And Pisces, your 7th. Reminder, it might not be exact because we're looking at that very last degree of Virgo. So for example, if you are an Aries rising, it could be your 7th house of relationships, dependent upon where 29 degrees of Virgo falls for you. I highly suggest you use the Placidus house system for most accuracy when you're following your rising sign. The day after the eclipse, September 22nd, Mars will enter Scorpio and will remain there until November 4th. This is feisty. This is fighter spirit. This is laser focused. This is about getting to the nitty gritty, getting to the bottom, doing the research so that we may take calculated action when the time is right. On the same day, the 22nd, we've also got the sun entering the sign of Libra, ushering in the autumn equinox and the spring equinox. The sun will enter Libra at 2:19 p.m. Eastern Time on September 22nd. Happy birthday to all of our Libra souls. It is your season. It is also the season to let go. To every season, turn, turn, turn. It's about shedding. It's about recalibrating. September 23rd through the 26th, we're going to have an active square from Mars to Pluto. Precarious, caution, hot button energy. In fact, I have it flagged September 18th through the 27th. In fact, I'm going to stretch that to the remainder of September, but with an emphasis on the 18th through the 27th. Armed and alarmed. And that is especially true for leaders all over, but particularly in the United States. It's a very precarious time. I talked about this more in my weekly podcast, which you can receive by becoming a member. Everything's in the description box. However, I did talk about this, and I mentioned this even before current events that had occurred publicly. It's a very precarious corner here. Entrances and exits on the planet. I'm going to go ahead and pull a Spirit of the Animals Oracle card for us all. Don't forget, if you're interested in that last seat of the astrology course, please email me, info@Lisa Salvatore. In the subject line, just write stars in all caps, and I'll be sure to get that information over to you. It's eclipse season. Is this a part of your path? Is this a part of your destiny to take this course, to hear this message today? Okay. We got Black Bear. Black Bear is the guardian. Gentle and wise protector, give me your confidence and power. Help me protect the ones I love. Awaken my intuition and guide me. That's actually a perfect message for this eclipse. Gentle and wise protector, give me your confidence and power. Help me protect the ones I love. Awaken my intuition and guide me. I think that should be the mantra for this eclipse, for this new moon. Maybe write that down and repeat it. I'm not one to take mantras off of other people's work or cards and things like that. I like to come up with my own. I like to channel my own, but this just fits perfectly for this eclipse. All right, take really good care, and I'll be back soon. You can find everything in the description box below. Bye.